Coming up on today's episode of the Ango Show, we're going to be talking about a major WWE announcement. If you guys think WWE's business is going downhill, maybe this will change your mind. Also, we are going to discuss a very interesting report coming from TNA, another new huge partnership. It looks like they got some major plans for 2026, and we are going to talk about an AEW star no longer taking bookings. This is the Ango Show. By the way, make sure you guys click subscribe. For real, man, I wasn't lying. Make sure you guys click subscribe because there's a lot of things happening in the world of professional wrestling. And today I want to kick things off with Eddie Kingston. Now, I found this to be incredibly interesting because, Eddie Kingston has now announced his plans to step away from independent wrestling. He's confirming that this will be his final indie run. And obviously, this is a very big deal because he is signed to a deal with AEW. He says, "This is my last indie run." He posted this on Instagram Threads, and he said that this is my last indie run, doing Beyond in a show in New Jersey this weekend. After that, I'm only taking one show a month. By next November, I am done with the indies, and yet nothing more to it. As of now, I have December, March, April, May. This is obviously a very big deal, but it looks like Eddie Kingston is going to be focusing on his run in AEW. Eddie Kingston is kind of in a interesting situation. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to throw it out there. I think Eddie Kingston is incredibly talented. I think when Eddie Kingston is definitely stepping full gear into whatever he is doing, when he is accelerating at a rapid pace, this guy is an animal. When he comes at his best, he is one of the best. Eddie Kingston actually happens to be one of my favorites in AEW. And just coming back from the severe injury alone definitely plays a toll on his mental health and his physical health. It's obviously pretty sad to see that, Eddie Kingston has to take this position where he's doing less and less indies. But it kind of makes sense, to be honest. If you're Eddie Kingston, why would you even risk it? You know what I mean? And I think he's been so vocal about mental health struggles and things of that nature, where it's like, okay, clearly AEW is providing some sort of stability, which is phenomenal. But of course, Eddie Kingston, you got to look at it from the perspective of indie wrestling. Indie wrestling is kind of going downhill, man. And it's do you really risk it for very little money and for, and I'm kind of coming up with my own reasons, but like, it's not like the most satisfying thing anymore in today's day and age. Like it's a very tough time for indie wrestling, and Eddie Kingston should be focused on AEW. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Maybe he has a different feeling towards it, obviously, but I could totally understand that ideology. That brings us to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen, TNA. I thought this was a really dope exclusive. This came from bodyslam.net, and this is just some really, really cool stuff. So you guys may know that TNA was working with a company in the Middle East. It was called Qatar Pro Wrestling, QPW. And now there's been a huge exclusive story. A source exclusively revealed to bodyslam.net that TNA's legal and financial representative, Chief Executive Officer Nyril Merchant, visited Ali Al-Marafi, chairman of QPW, in his office in Qatar to arrange a major project to be held in Qatar in 2026. The two companies had previously collaborated early 2025 with logistical support for QPW Super Slam 3, which was an event that also took place in Qatar. But this time, the project will be the largest in history of both companies. And Ali Al-Marafi posted a tweet as well with a photo of the representative from TNA, which is really huge. But they have future projects, and it looks like TNA is going to be having some sort of presence in the Middle East. QPW, obviously they have money. I'm excited to see what happens here. I'm excited to see what happens here. The thing about TNA is you have your partnerships with WWE, and that's obviously very big in America. But if you're TNA and you're looking for something where, by the way, Anthem has worked with this company in the past. Like this is not a new partnership, but they are planning the biggest project for both companies, you have to wonder. You just have to wonder, and maybe this is crazy thinking on my behalf, but you have to wonder if maybe TNA will bring a major PLE to Qatar, which would be very interesting to say the least. But you would have to wonder, is it possible that maybe they bring a Slammiversary or a Bound for Glory or something of that nature? I think it is super possible that we see more than just TNA talent working in Qatar with QPW, you know? And I'm excited to see what that could turn into. I'm excited to see what TNA could do with more partnerships and more expansion plans. And, you know, TNA is obviously a smaller company, but Anthem, I feel like, has been doing a really good job this year. Things are picking up. You know, you have partners in the world everywhere. You work with them. I just think that's a huge win for professional wrestling, and it's a huge win for TNA. And that brings us to our final topic. WWE now has another announcement. This one is huge. If you guys thought WWE's business was perhaps going downhill, I could kind of understand that, right? Things are kind of tricky these days. I kind of get it. But WWE and Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment announced a new long-term strategic partnership. Monday Night Raw heads to Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, January 26th. The tickets go on sale November 14th. And basically what this is a partnership that will explore opportunities across multiple areas, including exclusive merchandise collaborations, original content development, community-focused programs, regular cross-brand appearances from team players and WWE superstars. In addition, WWE will return to MLSE's Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. WWE stars will make appearances at Toronto Maple Leafs games. More personalities from Toronto will also be in attendance. Basically, they are doing a lot of stuff here. WWE is also doing a exclusive launch of a licensed WWE Legacy title with the Maple Leafs logo and the Toronto Raptors, featuring their colors and branding. This is obviously a big deal. Now, let me explain why this is a big deal, because maybe you guys don't look at this as a big deal the same way I do. WWE's attendance could go up, it could go down. WWE's TV could go up, it could go down. The viewership, whatever. The thing about WWE at this stage of the game, honest to God, is the fact that if companies are still paying WWE to bring their events and to bring their wrestlers and to bring their merchandising and their licenses to an arena, a different country, different arena, different city, whatever it may be, WWE is getting paid for it. The site fees that WWE are getting actually make a lot of sense for WWE to continue to accept. So in my personal opinion, it's almost as if WWE benefits greatly from the way they conduct business. It makes up for it if less people are buying tickets. But WWE's in demand. People want WWE's product, and that's why it's a good thing. And until these countries stop calling WWE to make these things happen, business should be booming. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.